you see, Amser, he's reached that milestone every mangaka dreams of achieving. He's finished his first legit manga one shot for a competition. Like he went through the entire process, coming up with an idea for a story, writing that story, drafting storyboards, going through the editing process with our coaches and our manga mentors, and inking his final pages. And to take it an even extra step further, he submitted his finished one shot to a Japanese manga competition. And even better, he did all of this in just 3 weeks. The first question would be like, how does it feel to create your very first 17-page one shot, like while entering a manga competition?
Oh, it feels really exhilarating. I can't wait to see all the results that's going to come out of it and the feedback from the silent manga competition because the many of the pros and the very professionals there, they will be looking at it and they will be giving some great critique, even if it doesn't reach a certain ranking or not. It's just a really exciting feeling. And just looking at it now, I know that I could do done a lot better, but I'm just happy that I got something out in general because that's just amazing to me. Finally doing it.
Yeah, finally doing it is honestly a really great achievement in itself, and finally having something out is honestly more than what most artists could say for themselves, right? Because I think I've mentioned before, a lot of the artists that we've talked to over the years, they've never managed to finish anything, but you've managed to finish like a one shot for a competition and in such a short amount of time, I believe, for someone who's like not finished anything fully formed yet before this. So yeah, again, really amazing. And yeah, you mentioned that you're excited to be entering a competition. Like entering a competition, what does that mean to you?
Competition, to me, it's showing not only that you can do it in a sufficient way, but it's also showing where you are and where you stand when it comes to art, writing, and creating manga in a way. Because you're looking at this as like, oh, okay, I've took the time, I've took the everything I can to make this, but I want people to see it.
Yeah.
Well, this is the best way to do it. This is the way to do it. And I've heard it from many other people who also create manga and also online as well, that this is the only way that you can really show how you're doing it and others can see it and you can possibly get feedback to be able to improve from it.
Yeah. Entering manga competitions, we've talked about this before on a channel. Entering manga competitions is a great opportunity to learn from pro pros in the industry, in the manga industry, or actually work in the manga industry. A lot of the people behind these manga competitions, they're publishers, editors at manga publishers, and they're also like they worked on manga themselves, they're pro mangakas themselves. So getting their feedback is honestly a really vital resource if you're really serious about becoming a mangaka and you really want to make manga seriously, being able to learn from those pros by joining competitions is a great way for foreign mangakas, like people outside of Japan, to actually get feedback from people who know about the industry in Japan. So yeah, join manga competitions, you guys. If you feel like, okay, I'm ready, I've made my manga, and I want to get feedback and I want to level up my manga, then the next step would be to get feedback from publishers or maybe from like editors or people in manga competitions. Okay. So going back to Amser, like how many days did it take you to do the whole process, like from ideation, writing your beat sheets, storyboarding, inking, and then shading?
Good question. So, when I learned about the competition about the 16th of December, I spent about 2 or 3 days in trying to figure out the beat sheet and the outline. I already had the idea in my mind for a month or two now there. And once I started to form that idea into a beat sheet, I wrote a script. And it was a really, really short script. It wasn't something entirely detailed. And after that, I just started working on figuring out how I want everything to look. So I picked up a bunch of references online, maybe about 50 to 150. I can't really remember as much from there. And I spent about a week outlining every page. And it usually took me 2 to 5 pages. I just like every day. And that wasn't exactly it, but it was mainly just drawing it out, just trying to figure out where I want everything to go. I didn't even do the character sheets because like I kind of just had the characters in my mind already, and it just started forming together. Like, oh, these really cool scenes I want here, there, and there. And around week two, it was about late December. That's when I started to do the inking, and I remember this correctly because it was around my break from work, and also like just winter break at that time. I spent all my time redoing and inking every single page and editing everything that I thought that wasn't good or not from the coaches that helped me out is immensely helped me a lot trying to see what I could do. And around the end of December to around the first week of January, that's when I started to add a lot more detail and I started to edit again and again and again. You'll know this is something important as well. When you're editing manga, it feels like that is the most time consuming thing because at times I feel like I wanted to just stop right there, but I had to just keep adding details and details and details. Not enough to like just make it chaotic, but enough to make it seem like it's a bit more professional than it already is. And I finished around January the 8th. Yeah. And that's when because after I finished the screen tone and editing and going through all the final details and making sure all the formatting was correct to the best of my ability, that's when I submitted it.
Wow. Okay. That was okay. I feel a bit like out of breath thinking about that entire process and doing all of that in 3 weeks. Honestly, I think, yeah, it's kind of amazing. Kind of amazing that you managed to do all of that in 3 weeks. And also, I think it helped as well, like having that break from work in the middle of all that. So you had more time to actually work on it and focus on it. So, okay, if I can recall, you started early December, finished up, and then submitted
Mid
your one
December.
shot.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And you finished up and submitted your one shot 3 weeks later, January. So what do you think like helped speed up your process?
Well, the mentors and the coaches helped a lot. I had friends who also looked it over and like, gave me some good tips and ideas towards it. Um,
Mm,
for the main thing that really helped me out is using my references. And I say this like a lot because I use references all the time and I encourage it when you want to try to learn how to draw something or make a scene a lot more interesting. And it also helps using other manga as reference, but not as much as like just using online references is what really helped me to put this all together and figuring everything out, especially for anatomy and perspective and things like that.
all right, all right. So speaking of like the editing process, by the way, which you mentioned like was a really important part of the whole process, like what did it feel like going back and forth with the mentors and also like getting feedback, I guess, from some of your friends, since you mentioned you showed it to your friends, like what was that like going through the editing process and really trying to polish your work?
I think at times it can be a lot of really frustrating. Like I can admit, sometimes I was like, "Oh, okay, I have to go do this page over and over and over again." But it was getting to the point where it became more clean and clear what was happening, and I think the editing process it was a struggle, but it was worth it. And I think eventually, after a couple of really good edits, I started to see, okay, this is starting to look really nice in some
Mm.
parts. And I wanted to just keep going and keep going and keep going until I can get it to the quality that I think I can at this moment.
Yeah, I was talking to some of our coaches, honestly, and I asked them as well, like what the editing process with your submission was like. And they only had really good things to say because they felt like you were really open to suggestions and you were really open to the whole process. And like you really just wanted to focus on making this better and like until the point like you were satisfied with it. So yeah, they felt like you were very open and you were the when you did revisions, when you actually like took their advice and their suggestions into account, and you managed to apply them so well, and you managed to like really go through the whole editing process with so much grace, basically. So yeah, they felt like you did a really good job working on edits and like the whole one shot in general. You did a really good job. All right. So you did this whole process, right? All while juggling a full-time job, rush of the holidays during Christmas and New Year's. And to me, that feels like you were so productive during that time. And one of the most common concerns we hear is people managing to create their manga while juggling their other responsibilities. So, what was your secret to getting so much done? Like, did you have a schedule? Like, how did you manage your time?
So what I do is I plan out realistic goals. If I want to get 2 pages done within that day, well, I'm going to get 2 pages done. And if I feel confident enough, I'll do a third page. If I can't get something done the day before, I'm going to have to do it the next day, no matter what. Even if I have to sacrifice time or sleep, I'm going to have to get it done. So it really, I think the break really helped move everything together. It just sort of, I could put more in pages and more time and more things I could do at that moment. And also, I manage my time best I can at work as well when I'm taking breaks or when I'm at lunchtime when I can. It really helps sort of like, okay, I can just get a little bit done right here, and then I can just kind of move and finish everything up a bit later when I get home. It really helps. I wouldn't say managing every single second, every single hour, but knowing that you can get like at least a little bit done every day, you're gonna get there eventually, and it's gonna be really like it's not it's not really a race. It's more of a marathon, to say the least.
Yeah. I think find it's really important to if you really set your heart on something, and also like you were working on a deadline because like there was a deadline for submissions for SMA, right? So
Hmm.
you have to take that into account, and you have to be able to like, okay, what can I do so that I can like work on this, dedicate enough time to this and still manage to like submit before the deadline, you know? So there was like multiple factors that you had to consider there, but I think what's really like admire what I really admire about what you did is that you really tried to find time um in between all of that, in between the job, in between the holidays. You really had to find time to find the spare time to actually work on it little by little every day. So yeah, again, if your heart is really set on something, you guys, you make time for it, you know? If you really wanna like if you're set on like Amser submitting to a competition and like finishing a manga for that competition, then you make time for it as best as you can, right? So yeah, that was really great. All right. So while creating your manga, like what do you think was the biggest challenge you faced along the way? And like why was this the biggest challenge for you?
I really think it's the inexperience of making a complete manga. I've done a lot of comics and manga and other things over the years that finished, unfinished, still written form. But doing something like this, where putting it all together, it was is a very much a struggle. And I think the biggest one was mostly the paneling, and also having to edit everything was quite a bit of challenge. And also just like the inking can be very much too. But it became more synonymous with eventually it got a lot easier over time, but it was still a lot harder to do everything at once, if that makes sense.
So the whole process itself was overwhelming for you.
Yes, but it to the point where I could manage it essentially.
Okay. So you mentioned how like the editing process itself, there were points where you felt frustrated. So that whole process and feeling moments of frustration during that process, like what was it about the inking, I guess, or the paneling that made you feel like so indecisive? Because I think you mentioned during our pre-interview before this that another big challenge for you was feeling indecisive about every step of the process. So,
Hmm.
how did you deal with that?
So some panels I feel like, oh, well, this is good. I think this is fine. But then I realize, oh, wait a second, this isn't good. Talking to other people and I'm also looking at it just made me think that if it doesn't make sense to these people who are reading it, I doubt that coaches or really the judges of the competition that I enter in are going to understand anything of what I'm writing. And some pages just didn't make sense in general. So then I was like, okay, well then I just have to just go at it and just try to figure out, okay, different types of scenes that can work better or flow better to the narrative. And since I'm not really using any dialogue for this type of one shot, I had to get creative. I have to
Yeah.
understand, okay, I have to like show the emotions, but more, I have to do more hand gestures of what the characters are doing. Otherwise, it's not going to make sense at all.
Yeah. Yeah. And you mentioned like making a manga without dialogue, right? And I think that's also one challenge when you're making a manga for this competition, because if you guys didn't know, Silent Manga Edition is a competition that requires you to submit a manga one shot with absolutely zero dialogue, right? Because if you think about it, the people behind this competition, they're from Japan, they're from the Japanese manga industry, and what better way to like break that language barrier and allow people from all over the world to submit to this competition than just like not having any dialogue at all and just really telling a story through your art, through your drawings. So for you, Amser, like what was that like making a manga with no dialogue? Was it hard?
In some places, it was really hard. Trying to explain the narrative because the story itself was a lot really complex, and I think that's one thing that was a double-edged sword like to this. Like I'm trying to create something that has a pretty complex and dark narrative and ideas in it, but I'm also doing it in like a short amount of time, and I also have to make it where it's like it has to be clear without anyone saying a single thing.
So basically, what did you had to get better at really visual storytelling, you know?
Yeah.
You had to
Yes.
get better at that. So what did you do to get better at that? Like, did you, I don't know, like you said, you did say like references were a big help, but I think if you're telling a really specific story that you're making from scratch, it's your own original idea. Like, did you really have to lock in and try to imagine, okay, what do my characters feel like? How would they react in this sort of situation? And how can I present that clearly in a way that's really obvious to the reader that they absolutely don't need any dialogue to understand what's happening? Like, how did
This is
you get better at that?
this is great because I think the coach has really helped in this way. There was one scene that I really didn't think about for a moment where the main character, like she's looking like, oh, she wants to be more shy in this way, but she slowly starts changing and becoming more accepting of what's happening at the moment. And this is shown within 2 pages. So it had to show really gradual change. How the shifting of eyes, how she looks away when she starts looking up and she starts looking to, and that type of writing I've never really done before. So I had to
Mm.
really think about it. And I think the coaches helped in this way a ton because then I got more ideas in my mind like, oh, wait a second, I can have them do this. I can set the scenario like this. And I can put the panels together and it started to make more sense of what how she was feeling towards this said person in the scene and then making more sense after a while because it starts interconnecting. That's another thing. The panels start interconnecting to each other and I'm starting to really enjoy that. It's like putting a puzzle together that's all messy and you just don't really know what's happening, but now you're putting the pieces together and it just starts to make sense.
Yeah, and I think when you get to that point in the process, it all that hard work starts to feel more and more worth it every day when you get to the point, oh, okay, this is all making sense. I'm putting all the pieces together, and I feel like you're in a good spot with where you're at with this submission, right? And I think it's nice that you said that the coaches helped a ton with that. I think having some outside perspective, especially since you're working on this by yourself, right? I think having some outside perspective and also from feedback from people, other artists, is really helps a ton when you're making something like this, when you're especially since this you've never made a manga without dialogue before, I think. So like this is your first legit like go at making like a complete finished one shot and it has no dialogue. So you it when you're doing this, you kind of realize, okay, the how much dialogue really contributes to a manga story, telling a story in manga. Like dialogue carries a lot of the storytelling for most visual media, for comics, for manga. And being able to do that and like get rid of a big part of that, the dialogue, and being able to tell a story effectively is a really great feat. It's a really huge achievement. So
Mm.
kudos to you. I don't think any beginner could do that right away like you did. It takes a lot of practice. It takes a lot of effort. It takes a lot of hard work to be able to get to that point. So yeah, kudos to you. All right.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
this whole experience, getting better at visual storytelling, getting going through the whole editing process, how did this push you to become a better mangaka?
Um, it really wanted me to like it really made me want to like commit to really improving on my overall art skills. I feel like manga in general, you can either be a great artist or a great writer, but being a great mangaka is a whole other beast in itself. And in this case, I would have to like really try to do a lot more than just this one story. So what really I've been trying to like work on to like character design, expressions, and such things like that. Where like this previous one shot has pushed me to the point of wanting to do something even twice as better and having dialogue and having something to a story to itself.
It's amazing. I think it's really amazing. I know, and we've spoken to a lot of beginners who struggle to even just get started. Just like you, they end up with a lot of unfinished stories, scripts, drafts, and now you managed to actually finish something for a competition. So I guess I want to ask, like, what gave you that push to take a leap into this challenge? Like, why now?
I think it was time. Um, Last year I focused a lot on we're pretty much relearning everything, my fundamentals and improving and coloring. First time ever coloring actually in my life. And many other different things like digital art and um, just making and any type of art, anything I could do at that time, and taking a bunch of lessons besides LTDM. But LTDM was the reason that pushed me because everyone else was sort of like in that mindset of wanting to join it, and also seeing other students that were also like wanting to submit and also improve, and friends on social media. And it's like, okay, it's just time. If I don't do it now, I'll probably never do it. So I'm decided just to do it now.
Yeah, and that's great.
And
I
I got to
mean,
push, get the ball rolling, essentially, for the
yeah,
first time.
all of us at LTDM are really glad that you really took that plunge, basically, and really, really leaped right into this challenge and did a great job, honestly. So, yeah, we're really proud of you, really happy for you. All right. So, as you were going through the whole process, what kind of support did you find most valuable from our program? Like, what did you appreciate the most about like the coaches or the people that helped you go through this process?
They were very patient, and they were also very um, had a lot of great critique in general. I think it was very like detailed, like seeing stuff that I've never thought about before, but I'm seeing more now, and I can incorporate that now in what I'm going to be doing pretty soon. And not just the coaches, I mean, just the other students inside of LTDM. were fantastic, and it helped me see that I could do much better in certain ways. Sure, they weren't professional, but also it gives me an idea like these people are the same kind of people who are going to be reading my type of work, like other people who love like reading manga.
And it's always nice to get feedback, right? It doesn't always like we as much as we say like professional feedback is really helpful, it's like professional feedback is the most valuable type of feedback, but get it no, it also couldn't hurt to get feedback from people who just really like manga and read manga regularly because you want to get a reader's perspective. If someone else who isn't familiar with your story and who's never seen your story before reads it for the first time, and you want to get what their experience was like reading your story for the first time. If they felt like, okay, my story is hard to read, they didn't get this, that's really valuable feedback for you as well. Because like you never know, like to you, you kind of get tunnel vision when you're working on your own manga, right? You only see like
Hmm.
your perspective at some point along the line because it's just you working on this, right? So there are some moments where it makes sense to you, but it doesn't make sense to other people. Like this panel, this scene makes sense to you. You know exactly what's going on here, but everyone else doesn't. So knowing that is really important and being able to adjust your story accordingly so that, okay, it makes sense to other people outside of you, then that's great. That's part of what being a mangaka is all about, and that's the role of editors, you know. So yeah, it's great that you were able to really uh go through that and come out successful. Okay, so I know you actually went through about 5 rounds of revisions on your storyboard. So how did it feel to have your coaches go over your work and provide feedback?
It was really exciting at that time because it was in between like a couple days every time I wanted to try to get feedback because I was like constantly working on everything that they said I wanted to do, and even if I didn't get finished all of the feedback that they mentioned in a day, I would eventually get it done, and then I would just submit it again once I feel like everything's like more solidified. I do feel like I relied on it a bit too much at times, but it really did help a lot, sort of like get to the idea of certain pages that could have been that were a lot better, and a lot of techniques that I didn't think about before. Also, like photo bashing, for example, also helped a lot, and something I've probably used a lot but never thought about using multiple photos in just one panel.
So what I'm hearing is like this was a big change for you. So like going through an editing process with someone. So what could you like maybe cite an example of one big change to your process? You mentioned photo bashing and how you like you'd never thought about it that way before. So what was it? I think that photo bashing has something to do with like learning from reference, right? Like putting together a bunch of different references into like a
Yeah,
collage. Yeah.
yeah, you can cut out the references, you can sort of put them together, and you can sort of use them to create like perspective. You can
Mm.
just create some scenes, and then you can just add your own details overall. It, it's like fitting your characters up with a, a good structure per se. Like if you don't know anything about like anatomy or something like that, you can take a model offline, or you can take a picture offline. You can put it in your photo, and you can sort of like I wouldn't say trace it over, but you could sort of like build off of it. Like if there's a muscle or if there's something that doesn't look right, like if an arm's too big or an arm is too long or short, it's something like that. It's very important. It helped me see, I think overall, the coaching helped me see things that I would never be able to see without the coaching itself.
Hmm. I think there was this one interesting question from TMNT fan. What if people are giving you different advice though? That would confuse me about what to change. For the most part, I think the coaches are able to give pretty consistent advice that don't conflict with each other. But I want to ask you, Amser, like, did you ever feel that the advice that you were given like conflicted with other advice that you were given?
Maybe at times there was one page where it was really conflicting on between two coaches where about the scene. It was a two-page spread and how it wanted to look between the what I was drawing at the time. Um, Eventually, what I did is I just did my own thing, and then I took
Mm,
pieces of advice from the coaches themselves, and I thought, okay, this is going to work well because what they said makes a lot of sense. But this time,
mm,
I wanted to edit it because someone else said, "Oh, well, you could take this out, and it'll make it a lot more intimidating, a lot more interesting."
mm, And that's nice. I think being able to I think that's part of working with someone, working with an editor. It's being able to like meet in the middle, right? So, and
Hmm.
also ultimately you want to follow your own vision. So the editors are there to help support you and help you achieve that vision that you really want to make you really want to achieve with your manga, right? So it's nice being able to have like that kind of support, right? Okay. So you mentioned that you've been making manga, I think, for 10 years already. Like this isn't your first time like actually making manga and working on a manga, but this is like your first actual finished one. And you shared some of your earliest works with us. So let's take a look at all that now. So this one on the right, this is something from 2050. This is something you made back in 2015. And the one on the right, it's a page out of your latest work. So, how old were you when you made this first one back in 2015? And how does it
15.
feel? Yeah, you were 15. Okay. So, literally 10 years. There's a 10-year gap here. So, how does it feel looking at how far you come from back when you were 15 to now?
I don't think my younger self would believe it or really see it because at that time I thought that already was the best there ever was. And at that time is really it was like, oh, okay, I'm gonna create all these cool stories that I have in my mind. I'm just gonna keep drawing. I was even like a lot of stuff I'm doing today, like drawing characters and all that, I did back then too. But it was really like the paneling and the ideas, and also like I was just drawing on like normal paper on like a clipboard when I was making this, and I was just doing it between uh classes at the time, and it was mostly just trying to learn how to draw because I've been drawing characters and really enjoying a narrative. Before this, I was just doing abstract art, and I have like hundreds and hundreds of pages of that, but I never really knew how to like do characters or stuff like this. So I feel like it's massive. It's insane how much has changed from then. Because now it feels like it's getting closer and closer to being actual manga now. Like before, I didn't think anything I ever did was really manga. It was mostly just little comics that were kind of just as is. I mean, this little comic right here as well. I've revamped into one of my biggest stories I ever want to tell one day. My potential magnum opus, but I've created many stories besides this one too. Many comics and ideas that I'm just going to be reusing soon enough. But right now, I want to try to get better so I can make those ideas look really good and look really professional and really stand out among the rest in my own way.
Yeah. And I think you mentioned something very interesting. Like back then, the things you made weren't really manga. They're more like comics. But now like what's great is that it's starting to look more and more like manga, the work that you're putting out. And I feel like that's something that a lot of people don't realize that manga is really different from comics. It's a different like medium altogether. Like it's technically the same thing. It's like telling a story through your drawings, but manga has different conventions, has different like rules, has a completely different format, you know? So I think being able to learn how to make manga is something that's really unique. It's a really niche thing to learn. Honestly, not a lot of people know how to actually make manga and not make it like look like a comic, especially if you've been like living in the West and you've grown up with like Western comics, being able to switch that mindset and like uh into a manga making mindset, it's I guess more difficult than you would imagine, and because we've had some students who've experienced that themselves. But yeah, so speaking of like your manga journey, what's next for you in your manga journey? I heard you're preparing to join more competitions.
If I finish one this year, I would be happy to try to do that. But if not, I'm really mostly just focusing on improving myself right now. I feel like from reading over my last work, it makes me think that I need to put more time into focusing on a really good one shot with a much more interesting, a more fun story per se, something that I can enjoy and I can really like work on. I like a shonen type of manga with heartfelt scenes and stuff like that, but also comedy and stuff like that. I really like to do, and I want to make it to at least a lot, like twice as much as the 17-page one, because I want to tell a full story. That's this time. That's the next goal, really. Telling a full story that feels like it could be something more than just a simple one shot that tells its own story.
Great. That's always nice to like keep challenging yourself. Like for here now you've finished a 17-page one shot and the next goal is a level up from that. So a longer story and a more detailed in-depth story that you could like tell in more pages, you know. So I think that's really great that you've really challenged yourself to do more now that you've achieved this milestone. So yeah, again, kudos to you. So Amser, you've been in our program for about, I think, 16 months already, 16 months. And this was the first ever artwork you sent here on the left. And here's one of your latest artwork snippets, like from your submission here on the right. So looking at this, like what has made the biggest difference for you by being in our program?
Being consistent, I think having like a certain amount of goals to reach every week was very good. I mean, like I was doing LTBM in another class at the time, and I was trying to get as much stuff as I can as possible to just try to like build that mileage, build that work effort of like working on as much as possible, and also focusing on things that weren't really too great at, especially with this previously old drawing where I really mostly just I drew a character that I was really interested in making into a story, and I even revised the story like 3 or 4 times. And looking at him now, he's the revisions I've been making on him today are like insane compared to what these are over here.
Yeah. Yeah. And I see an interesting point that Art Crumbs raised in the comments. Like working hard is enough. You need to be aware of what you need to study and how you study it. And just spending a lot of hours drawing won't promise anything. And yeah, mindful practice is definitely better than just drawing blindly and like just going at it by yourself
Hmm.
every day, you know, knowing what you need to learn, knowing what you need to improve in order to actually make a good enough manga that satisfies you and also could satisfy potential publishers if you want to publish. That's really important. And that's why you need to be able to really identify what path you want to take when you're making manga. And that involves like knowing exactly what you need to learn again. So that's why it's so important to really have support. If you have no idea what you're doing at all and you've tried tons of other resources, looking for tutorials online, looking for tutorials on YouTube, perhaps. There's only so much that could do. And being able to actually talk to someone who could actually help you and who actually has experience in the industry is very valuable and can really set you on the right path. And that's why Amser is one of the students in our one-shot manga drawing program. Now, if you're just tuning into the live or if you've missed out on this detail during the live, Amser is actually one of our students in our one-shot manga drawing program. And yes, we have a program. If this is your first time on the channel, learn to draw manga. If you didn't know, we have a program, a course dedicated to teaching you everything you need to know about making manga, and how to finish your first one-shot manga. And if you didn't know, in the manga industry, every pro mangaka gets their start with making one shots. So if you think about Favorite manga, anime off the top of your head. It most likely started out as a one shot. One Piece, Dragon Ball, Attack on Titan. They all started out as one shots. And learning how to make a one shot is an essential, critical step in every aspiring mangaka's journey. So, our goal at LTDM is to empower more aspiring manga artists. We've been working with students through our one-shot manga drawing program these past few months, and you've gotten to know about Amser in his progress in the 16 months since joining the course. I mean, he's finished a one-shot for a competition. That's amazing progress. And here, other than that, we also have other students, amazing students in our program who've who've gotten amazing progress as well since joining the program. And here's what they all had to say about their experience. So here is Courtney. Courtney joined us last year, and she's nearly finished with her one shot. And here's just a sneak peek of the whole editing process that she's gone through with our mangaka mentors. And this is what she had to say about her experience in the course. I like the sense of community and friendliness this group has fostered among itself and its members. And my favorite part of being in this program is the privilege of getting critiques from mangaka instructors who have firsthand experience in this field, and being able to converse with them and have them critique my work has given me a better understanding of what I should and shouldn't do. And we actually interviewed Courtney on the channel, I think a few months ago. So you could go check that out on the live after this if you have the time. Go basically check out her work because it's amazing. And Miriam, we have our student Miriam. She joined us a year ago. Before joining us, I think she'd been drawing just as a hobby, but since rediscovering her love for manga and joining our course, her drawing skills have improved so much. She's kickstarted her journey to finally making her first one shot, and this is what she had to say about the course. I'm incredibly happy to be part of LTDM because it's super well-rounded. The teachers are amazing, the coaches are amazing, and the students are amazing. I used to go to college for 3D animation and learn how to draw, used to go to class every day and draw everything, but I've never progressed more than being in the program. All right, and next up, we have Garrett. If you're a longtime subscriber on the channel, I think you've heard of Garrett. We've had an interview with him before. But yeah, Garrett joined our course last year with the goal to finally be able to tell his story through manga. And he's already had this story brewing in his mind before he joined our course. And now he's working towards being able to actually make it into a manga. And this is what he had to say about the course. I feel like I've improved a lot since the beginning. I'm also glad to set up a lot of connections with a lot of students who are on the same journey as I am. And next up, we have Eduardo. Eduardo is one of our students who has actually had experience participating in a manga competition before, the silent manga audition, in fact. So after getting feedback from participating in the silent manga audition, he decided to improve his skills, which led him to join our program. He started working on his storyboards in June last year, and 5 months later, he finished his one shot, which you can check out on Manga Plus Creators. He's already published it there. And this is what he had to say about his progress since joining our program. I reached a new level of detail and characterization, learned more about backgrounds and how to be more creative about doing things against a deadline. And the members always give way better feedback to my works than I would, and they genuinely want us to do a good job. Okay, now that you've heard from our students, I have a question for you guys. You're here because you want to learn how to draw manga, right? You want to improve your art and feel more confident, right? So, would you rather work at it and do it all by yourself? Or would you rather have a proven path to success, right? You've seen our students' results, you've seen Amser's amazing progress, and you've read how happy they are with the community and the guidance from our mentors. So now the question is, do you want in too? Do you want to be able to work towards your goals effectively with the help and support of pros in the industry, with people who actually know what they're talking about, who actually know how to make manga? Let me know. Type I want in the chat. All right. I hope I'm pronouncing this right. Abhinava, yeah, says yeah. Humera, again, I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Yes. B Fox says yes. Prayer says yes. Thea asks, yeah, but how much does the program cost? You'll have to book a free consultation call with us to find out all of the details. Okay? Scribble Mouse says, "Oh yeah, just tuned in. Hi, Scribble Mouse." Mike Harris says yes. Galaxy says I want in. Ando says I want in. Goku, I want in. And I'm pretty in. Hi, Goku. Thanks for joining us again today. Jennifer M says I want in. All right. I'm seeing a lot of enthusiasm in the chat. Thank you so much, guys. It's great to see so many excited people in the chat. So, to all those people who said, I want in, if you want to make your time doing art more meaningful and more productive, then our one-shot manga drawing program membership is for you. Because we're on a mission to accelerate your growth, all while having fun learning together, and you'll have amazing pro mangaka mentors to guide you. So first up is the amazing Yazawa Sensei, Nao Yazawa. Nao Yazawa is a professional Japanese manga artist with over 30 years of experience in the Japanese manga industry. She's the illustrator of the iconic manga turned anime known as Wedding Peach. So if you were like a big anime fan back in the 90s, I'm I think you would have heard of Wedding Peach before. It's a really like iconic magical girl anime, and Yazawa Sensei was the one who illustrated the manga, and she's also gone on to author her own how to draw manga books and teaches at a manga school in Tokyo. All right. And next up, we have Rena Sensei. Rena Saya is a Tokyo-based professional Japanese mangaka with over 20 years of experience in the Japanese manga industry. And she's a manga author who's worked on 12 books with the Japanese publisher Shogakukan and is currently a freelance manga artist. And she also teaches at a manga school in Tokyo. And next, we also work with professional webtoon artist Steph Prostrano. He's an illustrator known for his amazing anime and manga fan art, and he's currently a freelance artist. And he's the artist and creator of his own ongoing line webtoon, Me or Her. Like, just look at that. Like, it looks like the official art, right, of Demon Slayer. So yeah, Steph drew all that. And finally, we have none other than Art Crumbs, who's also in the chat. Hi, Art Crumbs. So Art Crumbs is an American manga artist and Viz Originals creator. They've worked with Viz Media and former Weekly Shonen Jump editor Hisashi Sasaki to publish their Viz Originals one-shot Onami, and they've been a panelist and resident artist for various art companies, Egu Manga and Wacom, to name a few. And they've also spoken at conventions like San Diego Comic-Con and New York Comic-Con, to name a few. So yeah, right now Art Crumbs has an ongoing manga series, God's Bane, being released on Global Comics. So make sure to check them out. Art Crumbs is great. And yeah, so we're not just taking in anyone, by the way. We want to work with aspiring manga artists who want to be empowered. So this program is for you if you're at least 18 years old and comfortable writing and speaking English. You're a beginner who wants to learn how to draw manga and start telling your own stories, and you have a passion for manga and dream of getting published or winning contests with your original artwork, and you're seeking confidence and a supportive community to share your art and grow as a manga artist. If this sounds like you, then we're inviting you to apply to our online one-shot manga drawing program. And we only accept applicants who are 18 years old and above. So if you're still in school, tough luck. You have to wait till you're 18. All right. So this is it. This is the moment. Take this chance right now to book a free consultation call with us. And this call, like we'll tell you all the details about the program, like how much the program is, and how you can work with our pro mangaka mentors and take your first steps to creating a one shot that you feel proud of. So you can scan the QR code to apply, and you could also use the link that's down in the description. I'll give you guys like a few minutes to go through the process to submit your applications if you want. Just let me know if you're done. It would be nice to see if you've actually applied. I want to know. And for anyone who wants to join our students like Amser in their manga journey, achieving milestones you haven't reached yet, and finally start making your own manga, this is for you. So this is your chance. All right. So go ahead, you guys. Go ahead and apply now. So in the meantime, we'll be opening the floor to questions from our audience. So if you have any questions for our student Amser, feel free to send them in the chat. Now is your time. All right. Amser is still here, you guys. I mean, if you want to ask him about his whole process, submitting to SMA. Now's the time. Hi, Art Crumbs. It's really nice having Art Crumbs. Thanks for being here with us today, Art Crumbs. Goku is one of our students. Goku says it's definitely worth it. Yes. Thank you so much, Goku. Glad to see that you're having a great time in the program. Okay. Galaxy asks, was it hard going digital?
Oh yeah, it's can be. It was very challenging, especially going since I was a traditional artist nearly all my entire life before I really started getting into digital around the end of 2023. So I had to learn everything digital wise in 2024. So up to that point, to the end of the year, it was quite a struggle. But eventually, you get used to it. It just takes a long, long time. And there's so many different things you could do in digital that you can't do in traditional, like having layers or being able to go back to where you were previously, or moving different images around and stuff like that. You just can't do traditional. But it's very rewarding if you learn how to use digital. And I would recommend it with, especially having just a small tablet or however you want to do it.
Yeah, there's a lot of advantages to going digital, like Amser said. You can basically redo your work as many times as you want because there's the undo button. So yeah, that's a that's a big pro to it. But there are also like downsides compared to drawing traditionally, which I won't get into today. We're actually working on a video talking all about that, so watch out for
Hmm.
that next video. We'll be talking about all the pros and cons of digital manga and traditional manga. So yeah, watch out for that. Okay, next question. Andrea asks, how do you come up with the idea? I'm assuming she's asking about the idea for your SMA submission.
So I take an existing idea that I already had before because I have like a vault of ideas that I could always go back to or always do at a no moment's notice, and I just reformat it and I just use it for the submission at the time. And what I did is I just expanded on the story and I made it like not like it's I'll say this, I wanted to say before, it is a complex story, but it's very simple to follow because it's focusing on just two characters. That's another thing, having less characters, one or two characters is important. And also having it where it's built around the two characters and it's simplified how you want to show it is what I'm trying to say.
All right. So I think just thinking up of ideas in general, I guess. What would your advice be for people who struggle with coming up for ideas or like settling or and committing to an idea for a manga or for a one shot?
Well, it I think you should do something that you enjoy, first of all. Otherwise, you're not going to enjoy it at all. Second, I think you should work on seeing different types of media. At the time, really like the one shot that I was working on at the time is based on, well, the anime Hellgirl. And I really enjoyed that when I was younger. So I thought, okay, well, I can do something similar and I can add like different differences and stuff. It's not copying, it's taking inspiration from other pieces of work that you really enjoy and making it your own, is what I'm trying to say. You can take it from novels, you can take it from other manga, you can take it from movies, you can take it from real life itself. As long as you really enjoy it and you can make it your own story, you can do it.
Right. Very well said, Amser. I have nothing to add to that. That was really well said. Yeah. Another person asks, Sigera Arts asks, how does Kisho Tenkatsu work? Okay, we actually have a video for that on the channel. It's but yeah, it's the traditional manga, Japanese manga storytelling structure, Kisho Tenkatsu. So we have a video talking all about that on the channel, so you can go check it out. It's called the how to make manga if you can't draw, or not, how to make manga if you can't write, actually. Sorry. So you could check that out. Let me link that in the chat real quick. All right. But in the meantime, Keep your questions coming, you guys. Hmm, can't write. Okay, here it is. There you go. You could check that video out if you want to learn more about Kisho Tenketsu and how to like incorporate it in your manga. All right. What were your influence? Asks Haysmith.
Well, I mean, the influences at the time, I think it was mainly I was working on another project with someone at the time, and I really took inspiration because it was based around well, romance at the time, and I wanted to write something that really correlates with like showing the two, and also like just other media, like I said again, like with Hell Girl. Death Note is one too. That's also really was also took inspiration at the time a little bit in. Um and many like types of like supernatural and like sort of like darker themes I wanted to tackle. But also the most important one that really inspired me to do this, I looked at the other competitors at the time in silent and manga edition that year. And the year before, I went over maybe 20, 30 different other submissions. I looked over them and I said, okay, I could do this, but I can do it in my own way. Because a lot of them focused on more sad, different themes like, oh, this character is dead and they've been dead for a long time. That makes me really sad type of stories that's being told at the time. But I can do it in a way that like really cheerful and like you really care about the characters at the time. And yeah, it still ends sad, but it ends on like a bittersweet feeling per se. And that's what really inspired me to make this. And I just took the little idea that I had in my vault and I just put it in there and it just started to come together.
I think that's really important. Like once inspiration strikes, like being able to capture it is a different thing. You know, being able to actually capture the idea once inspiration hits and being able to stick to it and actually see it through. It's really important if you really want to seriously make your own manga and actually just be a serious artist, you know? Like you gotta take advantage of every like opportunity when it comes. So when inspiration strikes, take advantage of that opportunity. All right. What else? How do you balance the work if it's a 9 to 5 job and the manga making? I think Amser's like mentioned this before, like he really found time like in between during his breaks. But yeah, like what just to maybe elaborate more, like what do you feel on days where okay, you do have the time, but you just don't feel like it, but you have to because you're working on a deadline. Like, how do you deal with those moments where, okay, I have the time to work on this, but it seems like nothing is going the way I wanted to.
I think finishing more like important scenes at that time were mainly my focus when I was just starting out. Like if you want to get like mainly the big outline of everything, sort of like structure everything together, it mainly was like I would say there were some days where I didn't want to feel like doing it, but I still like tried to like get myself motivated. I like consumed other different media, and I mainly just focus on doing like more of the important stuff at that time, so I wouldn't have to do it later on. So if I like feel like I'm not feeling at that day, I can just sort of like do less and less on those types of days. Especially
Mm.
since I was working on like, oh, I have to finish this in about a month and a half. Okay, well, I'll set where I can do 1 page a day then, and then I did 2 pages a day. And some days I did 6 pages a day because I just had the time and I had the effort and energy to put into it at that time.
Yeah. All right. Okay. I Scamper says, like, first of all, you're awesome, Amser. Forgot to read that out. So yes, we all think
Thank you
Amser
very
is
much.
Amser. We all think Amser is awesome. All right. Another question. Bushu asks, like, are you satisfied with your entry, your submission?
Good question. Um, yes and no. I think it was very solid for a first real one shot, but I feel like it could have been way better than it already was, especially in types of the art and screen tone, inking, and many types of things that I think could have been better. Many panels that I just don't like, but I got to take with the good and the bad. I got to say, okay, this is good. I'm gonna have to leave it right here because this is I gave it my all. I gave it my all, and I'm was satisfied that I did something and I finished it. Even if it's not the best and all the panels aren't all the best, I put a lot of effort into it. And I put a lot of work into it. I I just submitted it and I was done with it. Sometimes you gotta surrender when these types of battles and fight another day into another manga that you can do a lot better in.
Yeah, and that's what's important. Like, I think what's important is that even if by the end of the process of making your submission, like I think everyone can relate where we realize, okay, I could have done this better, or I could have improved this, I could have done this, I could have done that. We all have that, not just with making manga, but with just anything in life in general, like finishing a task or doing something. So we always have those moments where we look back and think of what we could have done better. And I think what's important in those moments is that you still choose to keep moving forward and committing to doing your best the next time around. So yeah, I think that's a really important mindset that you gotta keep if you want to make manga seriously and you really want to pursue this seriously. So if you're passionate enough about it, then you can definitely manage to do that. You can push through it and aspire to do better every single time. All right. So I think that's really and it's really amazing. Amser, thank you so much for coming onto the live today. It's really incredible progress, and I'm looking forward to seeing more of your work in the program and also outside of the program, I guess. So thank you so much for today, Ams.
Thank you
Thank you so
again
much
for
for
letting
today,
me be
Amser.
over.
Thank you so much for your questions as well, you guys. But before I end and before like we leave this live stream, I just want to leave you guys with this last question. Now, what will you be tomorrow if you start today? So you've seen our students joined our program months ago, and now they've already made significant improvements, significant progress in their journey. Amser has finished a real one shot and submitted to a competition. A lot of our students are on their way to finishing their one shot. They've improved so much in their art and storytelling skills, and that could be you. Okay, you can do it too if you just take the leap. So take this opportunity, take the chance, take the leap, and sign up to our one-shot manga drawing program today. All right. If you really need professional guided help to really set you on the path that you want to take as a mangaka to really help you achieve your goals more efficiently, more effectively, then I implore you, apply now. All right. Thank you so much, you guys. That ends our live stream today. Go check out Amser on his socials and for his upcoming projects. Give him a follow. Give him a follow. He really deserves it. And if you want to see more of his work, go check him out. All right. Thank you so much. That's it for today's stream, you guys. Make sure to like and subscribe if you haven't for more live streams like this. We have an upcoming Yonkoma workshop where we'll be like drawing yonkomas on the spot. So look out for that. We'll be holding that this month. So if you want to join, subscribe and turn on notifications for the channel. And also, if you have the time, check out the other videos that we have on the channel. You won't regret it. All right. Thank you so much, you guys. Have a great day. See you on the channel. Goodbye.
Bye bye.